Alright, so we're on our maiden voyage here after the repair. This is the 2012 Journey. It had bus faults. So the CAN network was going down on it, and typical network issues. People complain, oh, my wipers are going. You got a bunch of lights on in the dash. It doesn't show the odometer. It just says no bus. So we ripped into it. This thing came in, had an intermittent issue. When it came to me, it had been to a few shops before me, and wasn't making the issue when I got my hands on it. So that made it extra difficult. Now, of course, you'd want to tell the customer, whoever, like, yeah, come back when it's making that problem. And this guy's been telling me, it's very intermittent. It happens and then it doesn't happen. So every time he brings it somewhere, it's not happening, which is, typical. That's what happens. People bring it to the shop and issues go away. So I thought I would just dig into it and see if I could find anything that was obvious on it. And I did take this one as far as I could go, pretty much. We looked underneath of the hood. First thing that we checked was the totally integrated power module in the front, that fuse block. All those fuses plug into a circuit board that distribute power all over to all different modules and all that stuff. And it looked good from the outside. All the connectors underneath were clean. All the everything up top, fuses, all that stuff looked nice and clean. Turns out that there was a bunch of corrosion on the circuit board. So called up the junkyard, got a new one or a used one, put it in, and it was all good that way. But that wasn't our issue. Now, did it need that piece? Yes. It was going to cause issues in only a matter of time. So regardless, it needed that. It was severely corroded. But I had pulled the dash out of this thing. I was looking around, testing. I tested all the network lines and was tugging on them and pulling on them, doing load tested them, resistance checked them, the whole nine. And I couldn't find any issues with the wiring. And so after 2 days, I get this thing all back together. Go to fire it up because I was just going to drive it around. And lo and behold, as soon as I turn the ignition on, boom, wiper blades come on. No bus, network's down. I'm like, cool, now I can diagnose it. So I was pretty happy about that. Right away, I pulled the vent out on this side, and that gives you access pretty well to those star connectors, the bus bar that all the modules plug into. And I also removed the lower panel below the steering wheel, and I was able to get in there. And it just so happened that the first connector that I touched was the ABS module connector that goes into the star connector, and the issue went away. And then when I let the pressure off of that connector, the issue came back. So it was really cool that I was actually able to control that issue and make the network fail and then come back, and so on and so forth. So I pulled the star connectors out, and I really did a further inspection on them. I looked at them initially when I had the dash and all that stuff out, but I didn't really see anything wrong. The solder looked fine, pins looked fine, nothing was bent or weird or corroded. Looked at all the connections for all the modules that plug into it. I didn't see anything that was really strange, and I didn't have any sort of a needle or tool to do like a back drag test on the pin itself. But I believe that it was a bad tension issue inside of that connector in the pin itself. It was probably just over time. Like, this thing's got 334,000 kilometers on it. I'm sure it's probably just come loose over time. Things get worn out. And I put some Stabilitant 22A on those connectors, which is a contact enhancer. And I plugged in the two connectors that were causing the fault to come back. I moved those to fresh ports that were not used, and everything went back together nice. started up the car, gave those connectors a jiggle, no more issues, and we were good to go. Haven't had any issues so far, and now we're just out on a drive. So it's pretty crazy though, because in this case you'd never be able to visually see the issue because of the pin tension problem. There's no broken wire, there's no corrosion, there's nothing that's rubbed through and shorting. There's nothing you can visually see. So I mean, good luck finding that when it's not giving you an issue. There would be no way to find it. And unfortunately, I decided to try to go look for something. But what do you do in a case where the customer states that it's intermittent? And it's so intermittent that it just pops up and then goes away. And that's, typical pin tension issue. I've never really had to deal with this before, but I've heard of guys having to deal with it and stuff like that. So I thought it was really interesting, and I'm really happy that, like I say, got it all put back together and I was able to replicate that, because if I couldn't, I don't know how much longer I'd have to spend on it to figure it out. But I'm super happy that I was able to figure it out, and going to be able to tell the customer some rock solid information. And I'm sure he's going to be super stoked that we got this thing fixed. So if you got any questions, throw them down in the comments below. As always, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.